Just 203 miles of
Excuse me, you're not talking on this. Excuse me, you haven't been called on to speak.
Told me that I've been presented.
I did tell him
You did it in an orderly fashion.
I think we all need to calm down and do this in a orderly fashion.
I will say this, the day we was doing that, I asked for that time. And you all said, no, I need a minority majority.
We're only 117. If you had the money, you had $1,015,000 a day you went into office. You've had $6.8 million since you've been in office.
Yeah.
You're gonna finish the year with almost $500,000.
Yes.
So when you sit here and say, if I had money, I'd fix roads?
No.
You got $500,000 right now.
We're gonna have a workshop to discuss county road mileage and precinct alignments today, so how do y'all want to start this?
Well, I was the one that requested the agenda and requested requested to have this workshop, and one of the reasons is we have there have been a lot of concerns about our precinct line, and most certainly when I communicated with Wiliam Tyson, he's going to be taking my place here in January, and he's been checking in everything. I wish I had his energy. You all are getting a very concerned person that's going to take my place, and he's been researching everything from material, type of material we use, procedures, policies, even the other counties. I'll let him tell you all that. What the knowledge that he's gained, I guess, is his personal interest. I had nothing to do with it. He come to me with documents and details and all of this. It pushed me to visit this situation. And as I recall, and back when Precinct 4, it's been this way a long time. Concern is the off balance of the amount of roads, responsibility for each precinct. That's the bottom line. And we all have primarily the same responsibility, but some of us have a lot more knowledge of road than others, and that's the main thing, because it's quite a bit off balance. And whenever I think Gene Thompson, before he left, while him and Kenneth Weeks and that bunch was in, we all talked about this, and that we had pretty much agreed to go ahead and address it or make the changes, vote on trying to balance it out. And the 2020 census came about, and as you all can recall, we had the COVID pandemic during that time, and so we didn't really have a lot of confidence on the final numbers that they came out with, because I was involved with DECOG, and I know for a fact that DECOG had promised us that every county in this region, 12 county region, would have a person representing the census to make sure that they had a point of contact, and that person would focus on all the little pockets, and they make sure that they did it well. But like I said, the pandemic, after that, we shut the county down, we shut down a lot of businesses, and a lot of things was very unusual. So we didn't have enough confidence in the final count on the census. And that's what we want, that's by law is what dictates or determines how many people that need to be in each precinct. And it has to be, the letter from Jim Allison says that it has to be within 10%. And that's been a problem because, back whenever the correctional center shut down, well, they supposed to have been, well, all those people moved out. It was like 385 people. And the census didn't catch that. Well, it shut down after the 2010 census. So there was I think it shut down in 2012 or 2014, but there was that 6-year period where it was never adjusted. And so we stayed there during 2020, and like I said, things didn't follow normal practice during 2020. And so it got by us, and I did communicate with one of the guys with and Jim Allison's law crew, Allison and Bass and McGee. Eric McGee was the guy that I talked to several times on the phone. He actually came right here and sit at this table and try to help us, do the best we could to get within that 10%. And that's why we've always had a bellyache about us, Precinct 2, being the proprietors of that area down at Biloxi, right there across the road from Preach's shop, from Precinct 1's shop. And so it's always been a bellyache and don't make good business sense to use so much diesel and whatnot running all the way back down there, and it's a good distance. And so we were trying to eliminate that. And I think during the time, my dad was in office from 1990 to 1 to 99. And during that time, we didn't have a minority precinct, and they needed a minority precinct in order to get low to moderate income grants and that kind of stuff. And so they said the court had set it up to where they grouped all of these low income communities together in order to create that precinct. And so we stayed there, but things have changed, and the rules have changed to where we don't have to have that minority precinct like it was, but we still pursue the low to moderate income so that we can qualify for federal grants. But anyhow, back to that, Eric McGee came down and he worked with us, and we were 385 persons short in Precinct 2. So we had to take on some more area. We took on Bull Run and some more areas to try and gain enough persons in Precinct 2 in order to meet that 10%, within that 10% difference. And so whenever Commissioner Powell came on, we talked about it a little bit, and I think it was more, our conversations were more aimed at funds because we were talking, looking at budget and that kind of thing. But the budget is part of it because the differential in the miles. But Commissioner Powell was a new.
On the 10%, you're talking population.
Right.
And I just want to make sure everybody understands this.
Yeah.
The way the precincts are now is they have to be 10%, within 10% of each precinct as far as population.
Right.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay. Thank you. But yeah, and Commissioner Powell and I, we had some discussions and a little bit of debate about, the distribution of the funds and whatnot. And at the time, I was in real good shape, and I knew that Commissioner Powell, all of us, we promised to make some improvements in our area, and that's part of that's just normal campaign talk. You're not gonna go tell them you're gonna do something less, or you gotta give them something anyhow. That's my assumption. Okay, that's my assumption. But anyhow, I knew in my heart that he needed to have enough funds to make a difference. I know they've been struggling with drainage down there, and he brought that to my attention and went into some details about it. And so I agreed when he came in that I would go ahead and just let it stay like it is for the time being. And anyhow, here we are 4 years down the road, and I personally feel like that, you know, I did the right thing. And but the new commissioner coming in, he has great concerns about when you start talking about dollars per mile, which that's actually what we use our funds for, our tax money for, is to maintain our roads and you know, do what we can to support the community, what's legal to support the community. But I mean, we all have to put material on our roads. We all have to cut grass up and down our roads. We got bushes that grow out that we gotta cut every year, every summer. And it just, you know, it's just reality of upkeeping those roads. Yeah, us in Precinct 2, we have 203 miles of roads, and they all have grass and washouts and all those kind of things. So, you know, I think that, you know, it's been so unbalanced that we should visit it and at least have a conversation. Because it's not, I realize that all of us take pride in our individual precincts, but it's a county effort, in my opinion. And we have got to, you know, I just think that if we look at it from a county standpoint, we have to do the best we can with what we got. And, you know, Jasper County got very similar situation with ours. The northern end is wide and highly populated, and the southern end is narrow, and it has not as many miles. But I think William he did a lot of research and different stuff, and I'm gonna turn it over to him. But that's what I wanted to give the background on, you know, where we are, what we're doing. As best as I know. If anybody know anything differently.
So just for clarity, here today, motion says we're going to discuss miles of road and precinct lines. And I think you bled that over into budget areas and financial. And is that something that we are okay to talk about during our open meetings, since it was not part of the posting?
Limited to the miles.
Say again?
It should be limited to what was posted. The miles and the miles.
Bill, do you have the same guidelines on the court that you do on the workshops that you do guidelines?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if you have any public that would like to speak, they should sign up or get permission from the judge. Kind of time limit at the same rules of the forum and such that we can give it if any other issue.
Yeah, and I think I appreciate that. I wanted to have clarity because I think it's pretty obvious that Precinct 2 had some residents show up today to support their agenda, and I respect that. We did not request constituents from any other precinct to respect or to support their position, so I just want to make it clear. But you know, some of the things that we're talking about here, and I'm prepared to talk about, along precinct lines, a lot here on financials that I don't think I'll be able to talk about because of the posting. But when we talk about residents, census, and where people live, you know, from the information that I have in talking with City Hall, voter registrar, Precinct 4 has the highest number of registered voters of any of the 4 precincts, but none of the 4 are greater than 10% in variance. Additionally, almost 1,000 people that live within precinct 2 live in and vote within city limits. I think 979 to be exact. Precinct 4 doesn't have the luxury of having city services work on any of the roads. So again, if I get into funds, you correct me. But when we talk about miles of roads and responsibilities of a commissioner, I'm not going to sit here and take away from precinct 3 or precinct 1 or precinct 2. I'm just going to say that there is a void of misunderstanding there. When you say, well, you got a lot less roads and miles, but then you're almost 50% of your population lives within city limits and drives within the city roads, according to the voter registrar. And then when you go down south and you have no city limits, you have none of that. That's a factor. And then also when you talk about miles of roads, there's this factor that is often, I mean, once you become a commissioner, you go to school and you start learning these things, there's a factor in that miles of roads called usage. And when you take miles of road by itself, it appears overwhelming. But when you take miles of road and then you put usage into that factor, let me give you an example. In precinct 4, you have a business, you have Cottonwood, and you have Venture Global Pipeline. Them two combined have a taxable base of $402 million. Not talking funds to the commissioner, but they have a taxable base of $402 million. You take the next, this is out of the top 10 taxpayers to the new. You take the next 8 and you add them up and it comes up to approximately $236 million. Now, forget the funds, forget where the money's coming from, but just remember this, those businesses bring in hundreds of workers during turnarounds. The usage and the impact to the road, we have this summer brought in 2 loads with a total combined weight, over 1 million pounds, or corrected the other day, over 500 tons, that went down 4212 and 4213. And daily, these businesses, such as Mineral Tech, they bring in, they haul frac sand up and down 4123. So I just wanted to be clear, and is the case with Stovall versus Shriver's, it cannot be a mechanical breakdown when you go talking about mileage and all these things. There has to be, as the Supreme Court said, a do what's best for the county as a whole mentality. And I think when you go back and look at all of the commissioners over all the past years in courts, some of which was a lot smarter than me, there was an understanding of Precinct 1's got a tremendous amount of oil sand roads that are not easily graded. They're rattled and patchy. I've got 41 miles of asphalt roads. I mean, there's a lot to that with no city help. So I only say that to kind of put it into perspective. When you take a road that has an iron ore base and is on the north end of the county and goes from Jamestown Highway to Highway 63, it's very long, and you do that as a comparison to a road that's half a mile long and got 150 residents on it, it's not an apples to apples comparison because of the one factor that we leave out of the mileage, and that's usage. It's vehicle to road impact. That is the factor that the previous courts and commissioners took into account. And that is the factor that unfortunately is not being discussed or hasn't been discussed over the last several weeks as this agenda has been pushed behind closed doors. So I just want to make sure that as a court and as a community and the public, we understand vehicle to road impact matters because that is a direct cost factor on maintenance. None of the commissioners, well, I'm getting into money, so I'll stop there. But I just wanted to say that.
Does anyone in here, all of us are taxpayers, does anyone in here, regardless of where you live, would like to ride on a raggedy, bumpy road that carries a new vehicle up every time you go?
I wouldn't.
Thank you.
It's 203 miles of.
Excuse me, you're not talking on this.
Considered
Excuse me.
street.
Excuse me, you haven't been called on to
Judge
speak.
Cochran
Okay.
told me that I've been presented.
I did tell him
You
he
need to do it in an orderly fashion.
So did.
So, can we let,
You can let anyone speak, but you can do it in an orderly fashion.
okay.
You
So-
have, the court's in charge of the workshop, and you can allow anybody to speak who you allow to speak, but
Okay.
it's within your discretion, the court's discretion.
I think we all need to calm down and do this in a orderly fashion.
Agreed.
William, you can't speak.
I don't really get it. No.
Just for clarity, I think that all members of the court, with the exception of myself, was given this over the last 2 weeks. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Is that correct? I'm asking members of the court. You all were provided with this document over the last 2 weeks? Agree with us? Commissioner White, have you seen this document before?
I've seen it.
Did your office generate it?
No, sir. Absolutely
Did you
not.
provide the details for it?
No, sir. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Basically what this is a breakdown of the total miles maintained by county. It shows precinct 1 with 145.75 miles, precinct 2 with 203.71, precinct 3 has 139.79 miles, and precinct 4 is showing 77.48.
Which precinct board has 85.681, I think, the
Okay.
verified yesterday.
So precinct 4 has 81.
I don't see a breakout on this on how many miles of road are within city limits.
Because the city limit miles are not included in that number.
So you're saying the city, none of the roads on city limit miles are included in the debt card report?
Not in it. That's right. You're correct.
So the debt card report does not include city mile, county roads within city limits. Is that correct, Commissioner White?
Not sure, 100% on the debt comp miles, but the text dot miles in which we report here annually, this is what it was.
And I know that there's a group of people here, you know, and I respect it. Again, I respect that. I just would say again, there is already a court case standing, Shovel versus Shivers, that is 3 bullet points, and I do have handouts. It is, if I could read it to you, the leading case on allocating road and bridge money among precincts in Stovall versus Shivers.
Is that about mileage? Is it about mileage and precinct?
You're correct. Thanks.
One thing I would like to say about my mileage, I mean, I know I'm 25%, but I got so much oil sand, so much gravel, and each road costs me more or less. Some roads I grade every other week, some roads I might not grade but once a month. But then on the oil sand roads I be working on, I spend like, right now I need to spend about $200,000 just on half a mile of road, free oil sand. We all know that, but it costs us about $2,000 a load for oil sand. Take 5 loads, do 110, so you do the math. That's a lot of money. I'm just saying, factor But miles, we need to understand it's oil, sand, gravel. That's all I'm gonna say, thanks.
And again, last week, my crew, while I was at school, went around, we did a road count on the paved roads. We have approximately 41.6 miles of paved roads. Those roads failed, it cost $1 million to pave a mile of road.
Tell him about it.
It cost $1 million.
Most of the roads, the paved roads in my precinct was done back in '91, and you can imagine what the shape of it is. I've spent a whole lot of money, and that's why I'm mine is broke right now, because the loggers during the winter time hit all these roads, including the ones that have been paved. The pavement on the road that was done in the '90s is about that big, and they run the loaded trucks across, and the gumbo on the bottom mushes up and breaks the pavement, and now you gotta figure out how to fix it. And you can't really fix it unless you just go back, grind it all up, level it out, and go over it with some more hard surface. And so I can't afford to do that, because as we were saying, you know, even the oil sand, getting it from over there at Jasper, it's about $1,500 a load. I just can't afford it.
Yeah, and I think the crunch of the matter is, if one commissioner got all 4 commissioners' money, they couldn't afford to pave the roads they need to pave. That's the reality.
Yeah.
And I had that discussion with Mr. Tyson several weeks ago, because I think once he got elected, he realized what he got into. That's what he said. But if you took the allocation that all of us get and give it to one commissioner, you could pave 1 mile of road. 1 mile of road. This court can't pave roads on the maintenance money we get. We absolutely gotta have grants to take care of these roads. We're just now getting in a position to do it. But I go back to this. This Stovall versus Shivers case, it would behoove the entire court to read that, because at some point we will be talking about budgeting, even though today we're masking the fact that that's what we're talking about. And the Open Meetings Act, if we were gonna talk about that, it should have been shared more. But what I would say is, going to the precinct lines, you know, that's on the agenda today. What is your goal today on the precinct lines to talk about that?
Well, we haven't had this conversation, and it's a good time to do so, because like I said, it's a very large concern with my incoming commissioner, and rightfully so, you know, looking at the difference in from 77 miles to 203 miles. That's quite a bit when the average is around 145. And but the deal is, you know, and like I said, it costs. We're not getting the dollars, but I mean, there's costs associated with the miles of road. And the deal is that if we could look at it some kind of way, even if Eric McGee himself came down here right now, we need a proposal to put in front of him, and we're the owners of this. We should be looking at ways to try and balance it the best we can. It's off balance.
So you're talking about balancing miles of roads, you're talking about balancing finances. What are you talking about?
Balance miles of roads. That's what we're doing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, to my knowledge, the precincts are based on vote, you know, based on basically voter rights.
Right.
So the original JP precincts are different from the, because JP Ford takes in all the way up to Trout.
Right.
And the lines are different for us, the JP precincts versus the commissioner's precinct. So it all has to do with the voting rights, and, you know, as far as the minority precinct, you know, Missy said that, you know, you cannot dilute a minority precinct once it's established. But
Well, you can't dilute any minority population as far as voting is concerned.
yes, so what we're looking at, one of the bigger issues we're facing is basically the Voters' Right Act. So we have to balance what we decide based on federal law.
Right.
State law.
And Derek McGee and Jim Allison, who's over the law firm, they informed us that there's across we got 254 counties, and we got several other counties that have a similar issue. And Jasper worked theirs out, and down the line, everybody else work. It's ours to work out, but right now it's not a good balance. I mean, would you want to swap positions with me?
Why didn't y'all do this when y'all was redistricting?
Well, it was like I said, the census was not done proper, and when Eric was down here, it was still in the process because it was delayed.
Why did y'all accept it?
Well, we had to do something. We run out of time. We run out of time. All this stuff is timeline, just like our audit. So they got to be in by a certain date by law. Same thing with the precincts.
It's just like you said, you know, it goes by constituents, how many you have, you know. I mean, it's a percentage, you know, what we got, you know, and it's not mileage. It probably should be for commissioner, but it's not mileage.
Well, I don't.
I will say this, the day we was doing that, I asked for that pie. And you all said, no, I need a minority majority. So I want to be known publicly. I try to get that pie when we redistrict.
You're talking about 14, 16,
8, 3. I asked for that back then. And they needed it for that. And so, and now, I think we need to wait till we have another census.
I think your William constituents, they voted for him. My constituents, they voted for me. Your Commissioner Brown, that's it.
Okay. So y'all wanna wait till we have another census? When you look at your last page in the pack?
I've looked at it.
So the state requires the population to be within 10%. So Mr. Powell says that precinct 4 is growing. So we cannot add any more road mileage to precinct 4. So if we average 1, 2, and 3 out, that would be 163.08 miles. And if we broke it down by the mile, 1, 2, and 3 would be getting 38.99.92 per mile. Precinct 4 will still be continuing to get $8,208 a mile.
And I think, William, it goes back to the fact that you're not comparing apples to apples, you're comparing apples to oranges. When you look at precinct 4, it is combined, but you still have more people driving forget the businesses, take them out of the equation. You still have more voters driving on the precinct 4 roads than any other precinct. And what I told you before, when you go to school, you learn that vehicle to road impact has a direct result on cost of maintenance. So what I'm saying is you cannot ignore the number of people traveling these roads. And when you factor in the businesses and the impact, when they run frac sand on 4123, we literally rebuild that road 3 times that week. That is a direct cost. I cannot not rebuild that road because you can't get down. And that's about a 3-mile stretch, 2.89, I think, to be exact. But the Cottonwood facility has hundreds of people that are going to go to it. The usage factor is what you're not taking into account. And just like the oil sand roads in Precinct 1, I rode those roads, I know. No different than my asphalt roads. The previous commissioner did a lot of oil sand. Kudos, that oil sand system, that facility, production facility is gone. That guy is stuck with trying to fix oil sand roads with no oil sand production. So it's, when you take a road that takes very little maintenance and you compare it to a road that has got to be maintained twice a week, that miles of road is multiplied 2 times the other. So I would dare to say that on an apples to apples comparison, you've got roads up there on that end of the county, because I've driven them, you've got roads up there that are worked once a month. I don't have a road in my precinct that we don't work weekly. You've logged down there, you know this. 4117. If you had the money, you had $1,015,000 a day you went into office. You've had $6.8 million since you've been in office.
Yes.
You're gonna finish the year with almost $500,000 in office.
Yes.
So when you sit here and say, if I had money, I'd fix roads,
No.
you got $500,000 right now.
No, I don't have enough money to fix them like they need to fix.
None of us do. That's the point.
What-
That is the point. You're sitting here saying, if I had the money, I'd fix the roads.
Better.
We would, absolutely. I mean, that's a fact. But you know these things.
But you know, the way the money is allocated, you know, William talking about miles per road, but it's actually allocated per taxpayer, per precinct. So you have that's the way the system is now. It's not allocated per miles per road. It's actually by population. Each taxpayer, you know, but, you know, the way it's presented, though, everybody thinks it's miles per road, but it's actually broke up by population. So much per taxpayer per person.
So it should be within 10%, right?
Yes.
According to the state law.
According to the
Is that 3 to 1, is that 10%?
He's just, no, you're missing. He
No,
said per
no.
taxpayer, Philip. But look, if you go back to case law, what you're talking about here today is not, it's not in alignment with what case law says, okay? And that's more than likely, I wasn't here the last 35 or 40 years, more than likely, the previous guy sat up here and said, you've got your challenges, we all got ours, and there ain't enough money for any one of us to do what absolutely needs to be done. Here's enough to Band-Aid the problem, go find grants.
Well, another thing, you're asking people that voted Mr. Tyson in, they ain't trying to give them to other people. I mean, these people voted for Mr. Tyson to be their commissioner. He ought to have a chance to be their commissioner. That's who they voted for. They didn't vote for me. Voted for him.
Well, that's why it is it's gonna be his issue. I mean, I'm done. I just, I want fairness for people in precinct 2. And the concern that we've heard from individuals in precinct 2, that it's not right if I'm paying as many tax dollars as the guy down in precinct 1, and I'm only getting $10 a mile on fixing my roads, but he's getting $80 a mile fixing his roads. I mean, I pay the same amount of currency, US dollars, for the fund, the services that we get. What makes that fair?
So you better be very careful with that statement, because precinct 4 as a whole pays 65% minimum of the total tax revenue to the county.
You're talking about the business.
No, hold on a minute. Those businesses have rights just like everybody else.
Exactly.
So the Stovall case says at the end of it, this case was founded because one precinct was paying all the taxes and the other precincts was getting just as much money. So where it goes back to is this: the county's report is charged, and I'm going to read it because it don't say anything about money, but it says exactly this in this court case. As such, it is their duty to transact the business, protect the interest and promote welfare of the county as a whole. Look, this is a fact. I have said precinct 4 is growing. We heard a lady that's over the Texas State Groundwater Conservation say this in court in front of 400 or 500 people. Newton County's population is on a decline. It's not on a decline in precinct 4. We get excited on Newton when we talk about something coming to the park out here, the industry park, because it's jobs for the people. We should get excited about that. They just built a $13 billion facility 12.5 miles from the intersection in Louisville, about 11.5 from the precinct or the county line. If you don't think precinct 4 is going to grow exponentially, they talk about growth in Orange County, and they've got models of this because of that new plan. Newton County is going to grow all the way up, but it's going to grow from the bottom portion forward. Cottonwood has sold, I was told this, by the people at the plant, Cottonwood has sold to energy. They sold that plant. They take over February, no sooner than February 3rd, 2027. They're going to invest $450 million in the compost facility. Once they do that, folks, that population down there in Precinct 4 is going to explode. Precinct 4 is not sitting here today saying, hey, we're going to be paying 80% of the taxes, we need more money. Not saying that at all. We're sitting here saying, everybody's got their own problem. Nobody's getting enough to do anything with. Go band-aid your problems, let's work together as a board to come up with grant solutions.
So what you're saying, Precinct 4 is growing, so after the census in 2030, you may have 50 miles instead of 70 miles, and you may be getting $10,000 a mile, and all the rest of it be getting $3,000 a mile.
That's exactly right. And let me tell you why it's important for you to understand the usage. It goes back to the usage because the number of people pounding those roads has a direct calculation factor on maintenance. You can't ignore that. When you've got a road that's 20 miles long and nobody lives on it, and it gets used all during deer season or during a logging event, that is not an apples to oranges comparison. You can't say, well, I need the same money to maintain that road as the county as a whole needs to maintain a road that goes to a facility that pays 65% of the total tax revenue for this county. It's not good business to throw your money away when you got to invest it wisely. That's why it's done this way as a whole.
70% of our industry around here is log. Guess where the log trucks are most of the time? Every winter, we get bombarded with the log truck contractors from your end, tearing our roads up while it's the worst time you can do it, with everything saturated. And we spend tons of money.
How much have you spent, Commissioner?
We spent tons of money on the roads. That's a product. I can go back and get it.
I've got it.
Well, I'm telling you, you're talking about usage. You can't deny that log trucks tear roads up worse than, especially dirt roads and rock roads. Interstate 10, that's the closest thing we got with the most uses, right? We can't go around and show TxDOT don't tax us less because we don't have all those Interstate 10 traffic on it. I mean, what I'm saying is that the usage, I understand what you're saying, but on paved roads that are done properly, they had to find proper foundation to take care of the weight. All you got to do is cut grass and I mean, what are you doing to a paved road? You're not going out to paint it every day.
Okay, well, let me give you an example. Today, on County Road 4181, this is exactly what we're doing. We're cutting a 14 by 30 foot section out of County Road 4181. We're putting in 3 by 5 inch limestone rock. We're covering back over the top of that with a base, and then we're coming back over the top of that with asphalt. We got another one on 4212 tomorrow, and at the end of it, we're doing another one. So paved roads do cost, just like Commissioner Benson said. It costs a whole lot
No,
less.
that's all thing that he's talking about. That's a
All
totally
said,
different
maintenance, the
issue.
same thing.
That's a totally different issue.
So it's the court's decision, you can run the court how you want, but this isn't what was noticed for our workshop. It seems to me the language of how the workshop was posted was to discuss mileage and precinct lines. So there has been discussion about changing the precinct lines to fit the mileage. It's not noticed to talk about the money or who's doing what work in the precincts. Should we redesign the precinct lines to get creative with the populations that the mileage is more even? I don't think that we're going to get any more productive from here on. So I think without any other discussion about what was noticed, mileage and the precinct lines, I say to wrap it up.
Okay, I just want to wait and make one more statement. You talk about the loggers, tearing up the road, but the timber owners, the timber companies, they're taxing 10% of their market value.
You guys, that's not about mileage or
I
precinct
know.
lines.
All right, it's just one of my pet peeves.
Notice it
You know,
that way next time.
Corporate welfare for foreign citizens.
Word it that way on the workshop notice.
So